Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted in person and via remote means in accordance with applicable law. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings to the best of our technical abilities. And despite our best efforts, due to a lack of technical infrastructure, a transcript or other comprehensive record of the proceedings will be available as soon as possible after the meeting.
Just call them to order.
Do you want to start with the transfer station, or do you want to wait for Alex?
We can get started. Yeah, let's get started. Somebody.
Oh, there he is.
Perfect.
Hello there.
While we're on Frank's, Frank just read the little blurb, and we're going to start talking about the transfer station.
And we have two other members on board.
Okay.
Adam and Karen.
Yeah, so I think you know all of us.
Yep.
Sheila Scarby, DPW Director, Mark Cloud, Water and Sewer Superintendent, and Norm Smith, Operations Manager. So yeah, probably if we go through Norm's items, because I think Mark's will take longer anyway.
Yeah.
So
makes
sense.
Good evening. We put in for a trash trailer. That's the trailer that we actually haul to the waste. This one trailer is a 1999 trailer, and we had to spend a lot of money on it this year to get it so it would pass inspection because it's a steel trailer. All the other threes have been replaced and they're aluminum. So we're looking to get rid of that, and then we'll have all aluminum trailers and they'll last a lot longer. But it is a 99.
So yeah, so it's old, and obviously that it's essential equipment because it hauls our trash to CMAS.
Yeah.
So that's why in the overall DPW ranking, I had it 5, which was ranked pretty high, just because it's, it impacts all the residents if that operation goes down.
There's not enough room for people to drive through the already very small area.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's and yeah, just the fact we had to do the welding just to get it to pass inspection.
Yeah.
We're clearly band-aiding it.
Yeah,
so.
we had trouble getting it to get a sticker this year.
So what happens with a piece of equipment like that when you get to replace it? Does it just go to scrap metal, or what happens?
It depends. If you find somebody that is in need of a trailer and they're willing to do it, revamp the whole thing, costs a lot of money to do that. But we'll auction it off and get whatever we can for it.
Yeah, that has to be auctioned. Yeah. So.
And if it's too far gone, it would probably just go for scrap. But there's a lot of places that would use parts off it. Those pistons and those things go from front to rear, and they probably.
So yeah, so it's exceeded its useful life.
Yeah.
What was it?
Wake up the computer.
Wake up.
Is your sound on?
Yes,
Can you turn your audio off?
I can try my best.
Everything was unplugged, so we.
Perfect. Yeah.
Sorry.
Perfect.
And
Thank you.
How much is the Norm?
Fairly $130,000.
And you see grayed out, we had a compactor for 21,000, we were actually able to utilize our funds for that, so that was, taken off the list, which was.
Yeah, no bigger,
Yeah.
Yeah.
imagine.
How does the trail cost $150,000?
It's the mechanisms that are in it, that actually runs, the main truck runs off 100 gallons of hydraulic fluid, it's got a piston. So when you pull up to the site to unload, it actually pushes the whole load right out of the trailer. That's what everybody's using, you know, it's,
So is this in place of what?
this is just an older one that we had that, I had trouble getting a sticker for it this year.
We have a couple of these. I'm sorry, is it a truck or a trailer?
It's a trailer, it's a trash trailer.
So it's like where the cardboard goes?
No, this is where the blue bags, you know, pay you throw, goes into the trough in the main building, and gets pushed into that trailer.
So expensive.
You know,
Yeah. Very,
you know.
well, think of what it's carrying too,
Right.
it's carrying trash. So it's getting
This from
beat
the
up.
central. Pull that in trash?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
We're going to Siemens, right?
And the good news is it's aluminum, the new ones are all aluminum now, and that's why they're more money, but it's gonna last a lot longer also.
How many of them do we have?
We have 4 total.
I think I remember. The ages of them, like,
This one's a 99, the other one's a fairly new, there's one that's 3 years old. Another one that's maybe 7 or 8 years old.
I remember in the past couple of years, we had.
Yeah,
one come up, I wanna say it was like 75 grand the last time.
I think it was 89, that's how much it's gone up, yeah,
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
price of aluminum, the price of all metals, you know, just aluminum.
You don't need me on this, I'm gonna cancel out.
I don't have any questions with that.
Yeah, we good?
Yep, yeah.
You want to start with 15? 15 is on the ballot because, it actually is going over 10 years old this year. It has 44,000 miles. Still runs good. I found the later we go with these, Peterbilts, it seems like a lot of them, the problems start out where they're in the salt all the time. I don't know if you saw the pictures, it's not super bad, but it is, gonna be 11 years old, so you're gonna be careful. That's spending a lot of money on them.
This is our only 10-wheeler in the fleet,
Yeah,
so that's important to know. What we
It
use it
does.
today on construction.
yeah, it
site.
does the biggest route for snow plowing too.
Yeah. But yes, those are the first one.
Yeah,
Is this a truck that gets used every day, once a week?
Used it today.
yep.
No, it's not used every day though.
Yeah.
No.
That's the truck we use for getting materials to the barn, it holds more. And it goes out on every job that we do. Today we had a pit, so this one has a barn door that opens up, so we utilize that for placing all the, the pieces that we have to take out to the job site. We can use the loader to put skids in the back. So it's utilized a lot.
Actually, you can call them if it's one.
Yeah, we've been hauling
Yeah.
material out of the transfer station with it.
When you say that it's still in good condition.
I mean, the pictures tell the story.
Yeah.
I mean, we take care of it the best we can. But we've had some electrical problems with it in the past. And that's due to obviously being in the salt and plowing and stuff like that. If you look at the truck, it looks good, but again, I know in the past, these things with the emissions and all that. Salt getting up underneath there, we had one of our older trucks, it was $20,000 just to replace the exhaust on that thing.
I know this is a long lead time and I think I know the answer, but remind me again.
Sure.
So if this gets approved in March of 2025, when do you actually get the truck?
That's a real good question because, you know, they just changed that law again where they were trying to get electric trucks.
That might change again.
I think that's already changed because, the electric company went to the board and said, listen, you know, what do you think that's gonna do to our grid if you got all these trucks plugging in at once? You know, our infrastructure can't handle that. So they gave us another year to buy trucks, so I'd be lying if I could tell you if it will be this year or not, because,
So does it take about, I guess I thought it took at least a year to get a truck.
it would take
So
a
if
year to
you-
build it.
If you put in the request in April of 25,
Right,
you don't get it until April of 26.
at least, yeah.
At least, right?
Yeah.
And you paid for it in April 26.
You pay for it in April of 26. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but then the funds would be, if it gets approved, the funds are appropriated, so.
Right, it just continues on, yes. And we don't pay for it until it gets in.
You know, we used to get ambulances for like $75,000.
Yeah.
Doing this too long.
Yeah.
I see $418,000 for dump truck.
And these, yeah, this is
She'll be,
and that's with the sander and a plow also, it's
$36,000
not just the truck.
Yeah,
But that's essential to the operation.
Right, we need that.
so is there any advantage of keeping this after you buy the new one? And not replace another truck, this being a 10-wheeler?
The other two trucks that I do have on here, you know, they're in fairly decent shape. But they're coming up on, you know how we do the 10 years when we start thinking about getting rid of them. Like I said, this one will be 11 years old, and I wouldn't be against keeping it, but once they start to have little minor problems, they can turn into big
Right,
minor
that
problems.
So that's the thing with the electrical problems that
Yeah.
are starting, is when I was on the job site today, I was looking at the truck, I'm like, this doesn't look that bad. And I said that to Norm, and then he started explaining about the electrical problems, and it is, it's like, once you start with that, you're chasing issues, and then it gets to the point, like, every car that, our own personal cars,
Yeah.
like.
It's
you
just a
gotta
bigger-
weigh, does it make sense to keep fixing this, or to replace
Right.
it, so.
Bigger scope of money.
Yeah, so I mean, the thought of keeping it in the fleet, obviously that would help with snow and ice.
Mhm.
But again, we wouldn't wanna,
Right, you
if
don't want
if
to
we
put
have
a
to
lot of
pour
money
money
into
into it.
Right,
Right, but then you have a
And again-
$400,000 vehicle,
right. At the
and
end,
that if you
that-
have to put 10 or 20 in a year, that's not so bad.
Right.
You know?
but then again, if you get the new one, you're gonna auction that off and you're gonna get a good amount of money for that.
Oh,
truck
you
also.
can, okay,
Oh, yeah, that truck
Alright.
is great.
The
That truck will
general
be-
fund for DPW is all the auction money goes into general fund.
It does, yeah, I
Yeah.
wish we could get it back.
Right.
off.
Yeah. But that truck would bring some good money, you know, for a private guy who's looking for another truck to run.
I'm sorry, what year is the existing truck?
2014,
2014, the mileage is roughly,
44,563.
doesn't sound roughly.
Yeah, and historically, the trucks have gone on the schedule every 10 years.
Yes.
the Trucks here.
Yes,
Do you guys track what you get for auction on the things that, your equipment that gets auctioned?
yes,
Mhm. Yeah, for instance, Jim's bucket truck, but 90,000 for that? That was a good chunk of change.
Yeah.
that's right.
I think that was one of the main reasons we decided to pull that one forward,
Mhm.
was just the amount of
Yeah.
trade we were gonna get on it.
Yeah.
Do you have a ballpark of trade for this?
I'd probably be lying if I said something, because I would, if I had to take an educated guess, I would not be surprised if we couldn't get 50 for it,
Okay.
you know, sander and plow with it.
Yeah.
And that'd be a great deal for someone that needed a spare truck and
Yeah.
not on the road every day.
Yep.
Would we wanna keep the sander and plow?
I actually have a spare sander and a spare plow now. But it's not for the 10-wheeler, but I mean, if you save that and we get a brand new setup, it's not really. You wouldn't be able to put it in anything. So you get,
Plow,
which, yeah, But you could get more money selling it as a package to someone that's looking to plow it.
Is this one, does the 418 include a plow and sander?
Yes. And that's, you know, that price there is, you know, it could come down a little bit. Only I say that is because the emissions have changed in these trucks. Now they're talking about more catalytic converters and when that changes and does come in, then it's gonna be more money.
Yeah, I mean, for a few years now, the vendor has been telling us, order your trucks now, 'cause
Yeah.
they're going to get more and more expensive.
Right.
Just with all the regulations.
It's the emissions that are killing us.
And you're proposing a map instead of the Peterbilt's.
It would be a map this time, yes.
So we're standardizing to max.
That's correct. Every new truck that we get on max now.
Yeah, so that was your number one in highway.
The two was 26. That would be, are we all set with the
Yep.
truck? Okay. The next one will be Glenn's truck, number 26. It's a pickup with a plow. It has 91,000 miles on it. And it's, again, we usually do those in 5 years. That's a 2018, I think, so it's already 6 years old.
That's the foreman truck, so
Yeah.
that one.
So this is just, you know, this is pretty low, well, it's lower on Sheila's ranking.
Yeah, we spoke about
Some of your other department head colleagues have some pretty big numbers.
Yo. Yeah. Glenn's truck, you know, if there was anybody in the company that needed a truck, it would be a good around the town truck.
Yeah, that might be one we would, if that one was selected, we would wanna use that as a hand-me-down. It's-
And the reason we say that is because it has a plow and, you know, we could put a body in that truck and help with the plowing situation that we have.
And yeah, our cemetery superintendent has a hand-me-down vehicle. And that. Iridescent. If you've seen it, it's quite interesting, but it's falling apart. So we are on the lookout for a vehicle for him. So that's the potential.
Right.
But I have that low, because I'm still, you know, quite honestly struggling to wrap my head around the frequency with which we've replaced trucks here. Which, that's part of why we're trying this undercoating with the new trucks to see if we can get more life out of them. I certainly don't replace my personal vehicles as quickly, I mean, but there is wear and tear on these trucks. With snow and ice. But still, it's, that's why I have it lower.
Any other questions on that one? Good. And the last one that I had was Sheila's truck. That truck has 120,000, I think, right now.
112.
112, and I think that is a 2018 also, is it?
Yeah, so it's got a lot of miles on it, for not that old of a vehicle. I think it runs fine. My understanding is it has spent a fair amount of time driving along the beach. So that's our only concern, like, you know, what's the condition of the frame? Been asking the mechanics to take a close look at it, but, I know I just had this happen in my personal truck. We took it in for an inspection, it was fine the year before, I live not far from the water. And the frame was completely rusted out, we had no idea. So, so having that personal experience, geez, I don't know, is the same thing gonna happen to this truck where I know this has been on the beach a fair amount? But
Well,
from what I see, it drives fine. I personally, whenever that truck is replaced, I do not need a big truck for my purposes. So that's why I was thinking, all right, well, maybe an SUV or Colorado, but the vendor couldn't give us a quote
Yeah.
for Colorado. Because I would still need a four-wheel drive, but I don't need a big Silverado as the DPW director.
Is that what it is now? So we were on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
so we pulled her out on a Traverse.
So this was used on the beach, was it?
No,
previously?
Pete used to inspect the wall, you know, whenever there was storm, back a couple of years when we had storms a lot. He would have to go out there and inspect the old wall because there was so many damaged pieces
Right,
to
but he
it.
didn't go out on the beach
Oh,
with the
he
truck.
Oh, yeah,
yes,
yeah, it was on the
we
beach.
drove on the beach.
Cause that's really the only way you can get out to the certain areas that were, he was inspecting.
So you don't really need a truck, you're not hauling a lot of things in it,
I'm not hauling as a manager. That
but
truck doesn't have a plow.
at that price, it's
Um,
not too different from what an SUV is gonna be anyway.
Well, that is an
That's the
SUV
price,
That's
price.
a big price.
So this would be a cost savings over a Silverado.
Yeah.
Okay,
But I'm also thinking, well, I can't just personally, but you know, what if I weren't here tomorrow? Whoever comes after me, I don't wanna set them up with a vehicle that's, they don't want. Or is, they're not comfortable, but I think the Silverado is excessive for my position. So, but I'm also not a big person, so I don't need a big vehicle. So. But so I think that's an opportunity at some point for the town to
Yeah.
save some money.
And then what about, oh, so you, the whole purpose of this is you think that that the current Silverado might have some frame rust issues. And so that might not be a very good hand-me-down truck.
Correct, yeah,
Right,
we really should put it up and inspect it closely. And see, you know, how bad it actually is.
but they took a look the last time we ran it.
Yeah,
We didn't see anything.
yeah,
So, but it does, it's getting up there mileage wise.
I had two cars around that kind of mileage and they're just constantly in the shop. That's nothing to do about it.
yeah.
But I don't see mine as a high priority, honestly,
Right.
so that's why it's low.
And on the, I'm sorry to jump back, but on truck 26.
Yeah.
You said that if you could get that one replaced, the current one you would
And,
give to the cemetery?
That's what I'd be looking at
Yeah.
first. Yeah. Are you interested in the 5-year on highway at all? Are you showing that?
Well,
Yeah, here's,
how about some of those, we've got some real big ones coming.
That's the Vector.
Yeah,
What is a Vector?
it's a
Yeah.
truck that
Vacuum truck?
it cleans out your manholes and
Oh, okay.
sewerage, you could use it in sewerage, that's. One of the reasons we really were intrigued to try and get one, because it would be multi-use.
So it's the Swiss Army knife of trucks. So I actually, someone had written a note in ClearGov and I responded to it. I know Mary is not a big fan of Vector trucks. The thing with Vector trucks is when they break, it can be very expensive. So you have to make sure you have the right person operating them. But they, where I came from, we had 2 in the fleet. They went out every single day.
So Plymouth,
Yes.
Yeah.
So, they're extremely useful. You clean out catch basins, you can jet rod sewer pipes, jet rod drain pipes.
Yeah.
So right now, we don't have the ability to clean out sewer pipes or drain pipes. So my understanding is historically we've borrowed Kingston's Vector
Yeah.
trucks. Cause the relationship,
When we
we
have
don't have a
problems.
relationship, and Kingston would send their guys out to operate it, cause you want somebody that knows what they're doing with it. But staff has turned over in Kingston, their highway super just retired on Friday, so those relationships from years are different players, so can't really, honestly, if we had a Vector in Duxbury, I wouldn't want to lend it to the neighboring community. So,
Well, they send a guy with it too.
yeah, but
Because
still, I mean, you do want to help out
Yeah.
your neighboring towns if
Right.
they're desperate, but it's an
Yeah.
expensive piece of equipment. The other thing you can use them for is hydro excavating. So the water department, if they have a leak or a main break, it's a much safer way to handle that. It minimizes, and in some cases eliminates, staff time in the trench. Cause it's basically a big vacuum and it'll just suck up all the dirt and mud. So they're very useful. Arguably, you could eliminate the catch basin trucks. If you have that truck too.
And if you think about, you know, a basin truck, you can only go straight down with the thing and clean out your basin. This one, front lines that are coming off it, you can go through that and clean those out because they get backed up with sand, leaves, whatever it is. You can't get them cleaned out with the regular basin truck.
Basically, the catch basin is just like a claw that goes down and grabs stuff. and pulls it.
Yeah, the basin truck just goes down into it, grabs it, and it goes in the back of the truck. Sheila made a believer out of me when we had it in, we brought one in for a test. And, it's amazing what they can do. I was, totally amazed.
Yeah, we were able to demo on some problem drains.
Yeah.
And clear them out, so they're very useful trucks, but
Right.
like I said, they are expensive to fix.
Can you
Right.
rent?
Or
Yeah, you-
contract out, so,
Well, there are companies that you can have them come out for the day, but again, this is something that could be used, almost every day in our operation, if not daily.
Yeah,
So-
multi-uses also through the
Yeah.
departments.
So this vendor that we were quoting, that had given us a quote. Did say they have a new leasing option, which I've never been involved in leasing from a town perspective or leasing a vehicle, period. So I was a little standoffish about that, but we could explore that if that is something that they're.
I guess I guess my question would be like, if we got one, and I assume we would wanna do the same thing as have an operator who was trained on it, and they would be
Yes,
the owner of that truck, like.
Yeah.
In your mind, does that impact staff
no,
going forward, or is that like, what does that person do currently?
that would be one of our equipment operators most likely.
Yeah, we have, the catch basin cleaner is really not a difficult tool to learn. The back of the truck, you would want, you know, one or two guys, that's it, that run that truck.
But do we, does the person who's doing the catch basin, are they going out every day?
They can be, yeah, for sure, with that machine, yeah, because,
No, I'm just trying to think like currently, like, is there? Like,
that,
Well, we should be
Yeah.
to comply with MS4, we should be
Right.
cleaning every single basin in town. So it's, in theory, we should be, be going
Yeah.
out every day. Obviously, things come up every day, so it's
Yeah.
always happen,
thing.
but Mark's group could also utilize this. So that's the thing, we could also explore this, should the Water Enterprise Fund chip in too, because I do, again, we want to be sure
they
you're, the people we assign to this vehicle, just them. But I know your crew is interested in it, so there are definitely safety benefits.
Especially when you dig around sewer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
You can't
eliminates
bring
the
a sewer
engine.
pipe.
Yeah.
When you're trying to repair a wall and.
Yeah.
something.
So they're expensive, expensive to fix, so you have to be cognizant of how you're maintaining it. But also you can get extended warranties with this, and if we did move forward, we would get the maximum extended warranty.
What's the life expectancy of something like that?
That one would be hard to say because we've never had one.
Right.
I mean, you.
I want to say that one of ours was 4 years old, the other one 8, maybe 7 or 8. The newer one we had more problems with, but more people were using it. The other, the older one, we didn't have issues with it. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the big one,
Yep.
but you'll notice that the catch basin, what's my catch basin perk on this?
The sweeper.
Sweeper. What is 17? What's my catch basin?
No, 17 is at 6 wheel.
Okay, I thought that you had the catch basin truck on there too.
No, we just did a lot of work. to that.
Okay, but again, if we went forward with the Vector, the catch basin could potentially.
What does a catch basin truck run?
What do they run? I haven't priced that in a while. We actually just did a ton of work to it. We put a stainless steel body on it. You know, the truck is an older truck, but it's runs great. It's an international. And we spent the money for the body, so it does exactly what we need it to do right now.
We're looking at the sweeper, do we have one in the town?
Home sweeper, yes. And that's coming up on 10 years old also.
That has
And it's,
no downstream usage to any of the department in the town.
no,
Cemetery can't use it, that would be a.
and the worst part is they spend their life in dust and we all know what dust does to things.
That's another one that there's a
Yeah,
lot
it
of wear. and
goes by in
tear.
front of my house all the time.
Yeah,
Not Bay Road, you do that one a lot,
yeah,
and yeah, it's a cloud of dust.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And that's what water coming out of it also. It has little sprayers on each one of those brushes.
Right, water and sewer?
So,
You're welcome to stay on while you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want.
thank you.
That's
Thank you for
great.
your time.
Yeah, appreciate it.
you.
So, Tyler Sewer? Sure.
So Mark has added a couple sewer projects, so. My rankings, it's missing a couple just from my rankings from last week.
We had a couple items that we thought were
Just
gonna,
snuck that $250,000 one. That's all.
Right, yeah.
we had some that we thought were gonna be paid for by ARPA money. And they got kicked out. So the first one is an SBR electrical upgrade. So we have, there's electric actuators that operate the sewer treatment. And last summer, we had 2 of them fail. And because the wiring is getting old and deteriorating, it actually goes into the tank where the sewer is, and that's where all these components are. So they fail very quickly, being in that atmosphere all the time. And
Is it the one that's by the high school?
yes,
Yeah.
the sewer plant was down for almost 4 months. Luckily, most of it was during the summer. And so we had to have hauling trucks come every day to truck the sewer over to Marshfield.
Cost a fortune.
During the summer, there was only 1 truck a day, but when school was in session, it's up to 3 trucks a day. And we had numerous times where the toilet flushers stuck on in the school and
Good night.
filled up the tanks overnight. So it really costs a lot of money. We really need to get somebody in to upgrade the electrical and make sure everything's working the way it should be.
So what's happening right now? So it's up and running now, or
Yes.
we're not still trucking?
Nope.
Okay.
No, we did get it fixed, but it was
So
down.
it's like,
for
oh my
4 months.
God, we gotta do some emergency thing.
They did do
I-
some
they did,
rewiring,
that's
but
what I
they need
thought.
to fully replace the electrical components and
Right.
wiring.
Yeah, I thought we did something like.
Well, yeah, there was, because we went way over in the budget, but, there was ARPA money that was used, and then there was some additional ARPA related funds that came in that we were able to offset this. It was just a series of issues on the sewer side last year.
And each one of those is two SPI units with an electric actuator. And those actuators cost over $10,000 each. And so what was happening was the electrical was failing. And it was causing those actuators to overdrive and break at $10,000 a piece. And it's also very hard to find technicians that can repair
What does SBR stand for?
it. Sequence batch reactor.
So it's the treatment technology, is the, how the wastewater is treated, so there's 2 tanks and it goes through the process.
I don't understand the details.
Yeah, so it's
Shit treats
just the type of. So, yeah,
It's called
So-
waste.
based on what what happened last year, that's why I had ranked it 2 overall. Because the financial implications of just all the issues,
But it's
fortunately.
like besides the cost, the health, the blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
so that's why this needs attention.
Right.
So we did patchwork work on what was there, and this is to replace everything.
And at this age, it's due for an upgrade anyhow.
Yeah.
So I'd like to bring somebody in and figure this all out, figure out what needs to be done. We need safeties so that those actuators don't overdrive. There's no safety at all, so if the limit switch fails, there's nothing to stop the actuator from keep working and keep driving and braking itself. It should have a backup safety switch or something, a shear pin, something to save the actuator.
The current setup doesn't have any of that. Is that what you're saying? The current setup doesn't have any of that?
No, just had one limit switch and there's no safety factors to protect that actuator.
Seems like I have already.
Right.
And we couldn't use ARPA funds because it couldn't go out to bid. It's like the company that installed it has to come in and do the replacement. It's like a custom control system.
It has to be big money for everything.
Yeah, okay. Wow, how can you remember that? That's great.
I'll start with that one.
Yeah.
The next one is sewer maintenance. And this is overall to cover all 5 sewer systems. So we need to do I&I, which is to prevent the water from leaking into the sewer system. Because like the Gurnett Road, we have a meter. So if any seawater infiltrates into the sewer system, we pay for that as sewer fees. So it can get very expensive if we don't know that it's getting there. So typically we pull the manholes, covers off, and camera pipes, make sure there's no cracks and everything's sealed up the way it should be. And then we have the other systems too, that the Bay Roads system, it hasn't been serviced. The valves on the end, we access the 2-inch PVC pipe to clean it out, are steel, and they no longer work. There's an air release valve there also, and so none of it works. That needs to be replaced with plastic valves.
This is step going up to Wadsworth Field.
Yeah, yeah. And it's got a 2-inch PVC pipe that's never been cleaned out. We should be putting a jet down there, clean out all the grease buildup. And prevent the backup to the houses down there. And we also have infiltration over at Snug Harbor. We know seawater gets up there and there's been reports of water infiltration over there also. There's lots of sewer maintenance that we need to keep up with.
You said I&I.
Yeah.
So what's I&I?
Inflow and infiltration.
Thank you.
We're just trying to set up in another room because we usually meet here at 7, but is the password written anywhere?
Over here.
Oh,
For the Wi-Fi?
yeah, and Mayflower, okay.
So, yeah, so that's kind of a catch-all, the sewer maintenance, which we like from our perspective, because that means we can spend the money where we need it most, and it's not limited to one project. But this kind of got, because you already had that in there, but because the I&I was going to be a separate ARPA project, but we had procurement issues with that. And so unfortunately, the timing of the ARPA project, the money had to be committed by a certain date and we weren't going to meet that date, so that dropped off of ARPA. So now that would get rolled into this, vanilla, this general sewer maintenance.
Another example of the sewer maintenance was last spring. We noticed water come up in the Wadsworth Field. So we had to dig up all the laterals, take the covers off of them and jet rod out all the laterals to the field itself. And clean them all out. And we put it all back together.
So, I mean, that's an example of if you had a Vector truck, we could have done that in-house. With the truck to get around that. So, but yeah, there's, always maintenance that needs to happen.
Endless for sure.
So,
How do you come up with the 200,000 figure,
It's just a rough item. Yeah,
the brown figure we call
yeah.
it? Okay.
Unfortunately, everything's very costly these days and
What do we budget for sewer maintenance these days, like currently? Anything?
there wasn't much in the past at all. I think it was maybe $30,000.
A year?
Yeah.
Can't get much number.
Yeah, I mean, that barely covers one of the pumps for the lift stations.
How many systems do we have in town? We have that, Bay Road one, we have Snug Harbor, right?
Yeah,
The school,
school, Bluefish.
And Gurnett.
Granite's a wood. Is that one
Well-
down in Marshfield?
Yeah, by gravity.
And what was it from?
Bluefish.
Bluefish.
So I do Bay Road, School, Bluefish, Gurnett,
Step Harbor.
Snuck.
And the Bay Road has 29 E1 pumps.
Yeah,
That's it. So that's an individual
for each.
pump for each house. So there's
That's
20
the
29
one
homes
for that
on Bay
one.
Road. And those surrounding streets that all pump up to the Harris Field, leach field. And we also service all those pumps. Maybe about $2,500 each.
This is kind of a. Self-serving question. If you were to do this work, would you be digging up a road?
Maybe the end with manholes. There's a 5-foot piece of cast iron pipe on the end of the PVC West main. So that is a fail point that should be replaced at some point. We may find that if we went to flush out that 2-inch PVC line, that we couldn't get through the cast iron, because cast iron typically erodes and blocks itself off. So ideally, we'd want to replace that small piece of cast iron when we did
You
the rest
said
of the
small
maintenance.
piece, would you say it was 5 feet?
Yeah,
But yeah, the PVC pipe should be in good shape.
but we just have no access to rot it out if we had to. Sewer generators. So, was the last year, we had a big storm and lost power for close to a week. So after, I think it was 4 days, they wanted to open school, they had power back. But the sewer plant and the lift stations didn't have power, and they're not connected to generators. So I was asked to do a study to find out where we can install generators, so that we have sewer at the same time that the school's open. And also, since the school is an emergency shelter, and they do have a generator there, we wouldn't be able to use it unless the sewer system was working.
Yeah, so that storm, was actually really helpful for me, new in the town as the DPW director, because it revealed some vulnerabilities in our systems. Of course, we had to deal with it the hard way, but this was one of them. Because we have these 3 lift stations that carry the wastewater from the town buildings there to the plant, and they don't have auxiliary power,
So
so.
is this just dealing with the school campus?
Yes,
None of the other lift stations across town?
Just the school campus.
Just the
Yeah.
school
So
campus?
it's a generator, just one generator for that site.
I know we have a engineering firm working on that now, so we would probably need 2 generators.
For that site.
Yes, well, not for the one site, but there's 3 lift stations to get to the sewer plant. So I'm looking to put 1 generator in that, power up the last lift station and the sewer plant. And then another generator that will power the first 2 lift stations.
So that's an ARPA project, so we were able to get in the timeline for the consultant to do the study. But we don't know for sure what's going to come out of the study. The first thing they're going to do is look at what the school generator and see, could this handle
Yeah.
the load?
Yeah.
So it could end up being less money to do what we need to do, but maybe not.
Sure.
So this wasn't in your DPW overall rank.
No, because it was supposed to be part of all encompassing ARPA and we ran out of time.
Where do you think you'd place it if we had to place it somewhere?
That I would place pretty high up, just because of the emergency nature of the school technically being an emergency shelter and what happened last year, that was a major vulnerability.
So more important than 10? That's the Bay Road sewer design.
Yes.
Yeah, I would put it at 3.
I would put it above.
You'd put it at
well, yeah,
3.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it above the 3. Overall, it's hard because I find it challenging to weigh equipment versus,
We got a pretty
Infrastructure.
persuasive case of the fuel depot is pretty cool.
The
Yeah.
school's insisting that this work get done. There's also, no alarms on these lift stations. So the only way that we find out that the pumps aren't working or it's filling up is if it overflows into the parking lot.
Oh,
Which, well, but I mean, that's unacceptable, because then that's a sanitary sewer.
Right.
overflow. So that's, I mean, that's
Well-
it.
So maybe it's 4.
So, I consider it high, yeah.
well, it's a gap in the design, if that's the emergency
Right.
shelter, and it has emergency power throughout, and we can't use the toilets.
Right.
So,
Yeah, cause I mean, when that storm happened, yeah, the superintendent was like, we have power back at the school, but we didn't have it at the treatment plant and.
Yeah, so they had to close
So-
school because of the sewer.
And I think, you know, parents were like, what's going on? Why is school closed? But we couldn't treat the wastewater. So it's, water and sewer are essential services. So,
Alex, do we have a rough number of what our total capital budget is this year?
We're still sort of waiting for sort of a funding mechanism from Mary.
And kind of, some of it flows off of whatever budget we end up using to get upgrades.
Yeah, I mean, we've. Explained it, historically, I always had like 1.2 million, 1.5 million, but I mean, we've spent. More the past couple of years,
Right.
so it's been. And there's also,
There's some
you know,
big
there's,
items.
depending on the items, there are some different funding
Funding.
sources.
Yeah.
Other than free cash.
Yeah. No, I agree when I asked him, that is. I'm only around 1 year, but it was a major tool that we use in determining. You know, who gets what,
right,
because we definitely can't do everything.
Mhm.
Not even close to.
Yeah,
I mean, you just look at the total that we have here, 2.8 million, well.
Right.
That's about $1 million over what the entire town.
yeah.
It might, you know, that could change.
The
I
next
guess
one,
I would like you to go through the big mechanical upgrade, and then I think I need to better understand sort of. Like, both of your priorities, when you've gone through all these items, cause there's, you know, it's. $830,000.
Mhm.
I think it'd be best to go through the rest of them first.
the Bay Road sewer upgrades, so I need someone to design. And put out a bid for this work that needs to get done, which is replacing all those valves, the pieces of pipe. And make sure it's in good shape,
Blow out the piece.
yep, replace everything,
So,
so this is just design,
design and bidding.
I mean. Is that replacing a wear item, like? So I guess where I'm sort of going is, when do we cross the line into potential of betterment?
right,
Or
Do what?
when do we cross the line where some of these things are now a betterment?
We already hit the people with a betterment.
Yeah, they
when
already
we originally
gave
put the system
betterment.
in, correct?
yeah,
Right, but
No.
well,
yeah,
they,
I think we did.
we definitely did.
yeah,
right, but the seawall, they said you can still do a betterment
Oh,
if you're
I'm
replacing.
not saying,
Right, so
Just
that
saying
if you're replacing the system,
I got you,
Yeah,
got you.
Well, we started a water and sewer rate study. But we're hoping to reflect a lot of the fees or the cost of this operation of sewer into the new rate study. Because right now, the sewer rates aren't covering the total cost of the operation.
right. Yeah,
Should
that
the
would-
rates be covering all of the cost of the operations?
including the
well,
cost
sewer,
of capital.
sewer isn't an enterprise fund here.
Right,
So, not on the sewer side,
that doesn't mean we can't
Yeah,
compare the cost with the income.
And it wouldn't cover the school on that either. I don't know, if you know.
I'm sorry, I didn't. Yeah, what was the answer to your question, the question mark?
That we're gonna hopefully cover the costs of the sewer operation through the new rate study,
Yeah,
but it wouldn't cover the school complex. So just cover the residential use.
but not, Because the school doesn't pay rates, the town does. Charge
Yeah,
the
the
school, or
school
is it just a
It
zero
doesn't get charged
cost?
for
It's
sewer.
a zero charge.
They only pay for water.
I wish we charged them for
Especially
everything we
when the
went through.
toilet keeps running.
Right, well, no, because I mean, that costs thousands of dollars
I
because
know
of that.
personally.
So it's, yeah. But it is all the town, so.
But currently, the sewer rates are very cheap,
This
certainly
is
not paying what they should be contributing to the cost of operation.
I wonder if there's a good mix, and after this study, we should really consider after the survey study about an enterprise fund for sewer. I mean, I don't know.
If the rates aren't covered.
Prohibitive for the users.
Because the other thing that I just said to Alex is, the sewer maintenance, why is that capital? That should be operational.
Then if you had a revolving.
If you had a revolving fund,
We're just obviating the cost of having a town-built sewer system like Kingston. Probably be overall more expensive than anything else.
Yeah, but you have more users in Kingston. One of the problems is here, so few users.
So
it's
we
a
have to
big burden.
subsidize the sewer
Yeah,
no matter what.
Yes, to some degree. Maybe-
Well,
Maybe they're not the rates on it.
Right.
it was, there's also conversations around at least the treatment facility by the schools has capacity, especially during the summer.
we're coming to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next one is the SBR mechanical upgrade. So this plant is 20 years old and it's time for an upgrade. There's sleds and valves and mechanical mixers inside of the two tanks that both float up and down. And over time, they just corrode and fail. You really need to be ahead of it, because if you lose this system, then you're trucking away every day. So you need to keep this in mind, it doesn't last forever, and at some point you have to think about replacing this, and then sewer happens more often than water.
It's just so corrosive. But I mean, the way you operate that plant, the two SBR tanks, they're redundant, because you only ever have one going.
Right.
So they're not going.
The other was electrical, this is
parallel.
But this upgrade is something they have to line up far ahead of time and get the components, not something you can buy off the shelf.
So this 250 is the design and engineering only, or does this include the mechanical upgrade estimate?
It's pretty straightforward, you can put it out to bid, it's just like a replacement. So you
so
can
it is a replacement.
yeah,
cost
you
as
get a
well.
mechanical contractor to do the work. You wouldn't really need to design it,
Okay,
Is the 250 a firm quote?
no.
Why not combine the two SBR things into one thing?
Well, when we met with Candace, we did have that discussion.
Because you,
So,
this was out in the following year, and I said, wouldn't it be better just to move it up?
yeah, so, but the electrical are,
that's
you know.
higher priority, so I
much
need to
higher
get that work
priority.
done.
So
Got
by
it.
lumping that in, if the total cost
Got it.
would prevent the electrical from getting done, then. That's.
The electrical more immediate.
Yes,
So
that's where I
so
had all,
this is more
But
or
if we
less
don't do
in
this
priority
250,
order.
yes,
Yes.
If we
yeah.
don't do this 250 this year, that's gonna keep moving out future years. It's
The
gonna
electrical,
eventually.
that's where I had all the failures this previous year.
Good.
St. George Street?
Yep, that's the last one, so the owner of Millbrook Station approached us and said his sewer system is failing. At the 4 units that he has.
The restaurants there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he might have to close the restaurants if he couldn't find some place for something to do with the sewer. So we said that would probably work for us, because we also have no flow during the summer. So this would substitute our flow and help feed all the organisms that we supposed to keep alive in the sewer plant. So it might be a win-win, but this is what would have to pay for a feasibility study, see if it could even be done.
Yes, that's a
I
feasibility.
think this is being done with ARPA funds.
No, that got,
It was,
too.
and this,
It's
yeah.
hard to keep up, okay,
they kicked it down.
all right.
So, yeah, so operationally, this could be very beneficial for the plant, just because school wastewater treatment facilities are notorious for having difficulty in the summer, that low flow time, so having consistent flow, would be good, and also more rates coming in. Depending on what the ideal route is. So we'd be targeting, I mean, the study's looking at the business area
How are these facilities currently managing their waste management
on-site systems.
on site and so they're asking if they
They wanna
can
go to town.
connect to the school system.
Yes,
I remember an extensive discussion when redevelopment of St. George Street facilities were there and sewage and water table stuff was a huge dimension to it.
Yeah, I'm a little hesitant over this one, only because of what I know they want to put at the Duxbury.
Do your fee study first.
yeah,
Well, this isn't even part of a fee now, you don't list the school sewer rate, so you would have to develop this as a new rate.
In addition, so
it might even be a better, right?
I would think this would be a betterment project, because you're.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Right, and you could roll in the study costs too if it becomes a reality.
The only thing I think there is a short timeline on this.
for the owner,
I don't see a real problem with it, if you can generate money and improve the system performance during the summer, they're not asking it for free.
well, it depends what the betterment costs shake out to be, because there's some distance you have to cover there.
Right, because think about it, they gotta go uphill. I don't know how hard that is.
So this, the cost of pump stations, but depending on what route you go, if you go
Oh,
up
okay.
Railroad, then you can dump into Alden. And you're not digging up all of St. George Street, but.
That just got paved.
And another generator.
Yeah.
Well, and again, but if St.
That's
George
on
were
their
the route,
part.
I would wanna know that ahead of time before we pave the next section. So that's what this study would look at, what is the optimal route, how much flow can the plant
The
accept?
sidewalk in.
Yeah,
I have a
is
very,
there any
Yeah, right,
advantage to
that's
having
sidewalk.
this added to special town meeting? Is that too late?
Oh,
That was
way
too late, it's close. It weren't-
Cause that way you could start it now instead of waiting.
That's why we were hoping for the ARPA,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I want to contrast my raising my hand and saying, I want to connect to the sewer system versus their raising their hand and doing that.
mhm.
Is there some context within which you can justify responding to their request yeah, that's my question. And I'm not phrasing it politically correctly. But if somebody asks you to connect to their sewer system, under what circumstances would you try to deal with whether that request in fact is something the town should respond to? For example, their systems fail, they don't have the money to fix it, what happens then?
Right, you're talking a significant investment, say it's like $800 to $1 million to put a lift station and. I'm not a sewer expert, cost, but you're talking a significant investment that they would pay that $1 million to
Right.
connect.
And I
And
understand,
pay sewer rate fees, but if you. I guess why are we paying for the study? Should they pay it? Maybe it
well,
would be,
that's where I'm sort of headed. Now, there's definite benefit to the town in terms of the ongoing utility of the sewer system that we have for the schools. Which is fine. But I find it curious that we would want to do that. I mean, I can connect to the school system too.
Well, can you roll,
So do you want us to?
could
run
you
the
roll the
study or
feasibility
not?
study into the total project cost if you actually go ahead and do construction? You combine the two numbers, the feasibility study plus the cost of doing the sewer system, can that be put together when you determine betterments?
Well, I think to get that final
Yes.
cost, we
This
need to do
will
the
be
study
together.
first.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Study will give us that estimate.
Right,
Yeah.
you can roll
So-
feasibility studies into the total
can.
capital, but the risk is that it comes back at 18 million and they say, we can't do that. So it seems like it should be a shared cost, maybe. Have you approached them for paying like the 16,000?
No, I was asked to just present this and see if there was any interest in this.
Does it make sense that maybe this should be on the annual town meeting warrant? We've done feasibility studies in that annual town meeting before for various projects.
Yeah.
Instead of, putting this in the budget for this year, put the feasibility studies and warrant.
Oh, separately?
A separate warrant.
We done a special meeting in March. Or it's that one.
Special within the annual, yeah. I don't. Crossing it out.
Or the special town meeting in March to have this approved, but.
So, yeah, so
Let's put it this way, at a priority of 17.
and the reason why that's last.
Money out of this committee this year.
Yeah, so that's last, not because there isn't viability and a reason to do it, but. I'm looking from the DPW perspective and
sure.
infrastructure, existing infrastructure. But there is a benefit to having that consistent flow, so it's
What are the-
worth putting down here, but when I look at priorities like the fuel depot. That's why this is so low, so ideally this, the ARPA seemed like the perfect way to explore this.
What are the buildings where, who? The owner that came to you, which buildings are we talking about?
It was Mike Giuliani.
Yeah,
He owns the Oysterman building.
Okay.
Whole work.
That whole revamped,
Yeah.
all
That whole
the, yeah, I
corner.
mean,
Is it also
So
like
the
the
other
real
side.
estate people, Ravis? Would it be them too?
So
there's 3 restaurants in there.
Yeah, the restaurants.
Just the restaurant?
The
Anchor.
yeah,
Yeah,
Fire
Oyster
Hill.
Ruby,
yeah.
Ruby Construction
So-
and,
There's a sub
Workplace.
shop too, in addition, a pizza shop.
Yeah, but the.
Yeah, that quite doesn't generate.
be a hairdresser.
yeah,
The
Yeah,
rest-
they don't have a bathroom. Oyster, yeah, Oyster,
Oysterman and Anchor.
and Anchor
But
bathrooms.
it's still all have grease
I don't want them
traps
to
and
close,
it's
sorry.
not a.
Yeah, so I mean, in
Sure.
terms of economic development, but from our perspective, we're looking at the engineering of it. That's the politics, that's not my
Right.
purview to get involved with.
But
So,
for some reason, I thought if we put the infrastructure in, I thought everyone down there had to connect.
with betterments, yes, so, but you can do it strategically. Well, first of all, it has to be based on the flow available at the plant. But if, it's deemed cost prohibitive to force residents to tie in because it goes by their house. There are ways to plan that out strategically. One of them is if you have the force main right there, don't extend the gravity main, you don't tie into a force main. So, I think that would all have to definitely be explored, because if the betterments are high, I don't think you'd wanna force a resident who might not want to tie in.
Well, that's what I'm saying, I think there's, on Railroad, I think there's that one house. Next to the
Oh,
Ravens,
well,
there's one.
Oh, right.
residence
yes, there's one, one house.
in one house.
And but then there's all the shops that are on Railroad Ave.
And I assume you'd go to pick up the park.
Those apartments too.
Yeah.
Is it,
Yeah.
is it across the street to Potter's too?
yes,
Okay.
But yeah, long-term, like for what I'm interested in from the DPW director, St. George Street. hopefully upgrading sidewalks, paving the whole road at some point. If this were to happen, we wanna time this right.
Yep.
So even though this is ranked 17, because I'm looking at all of our other infrastructure priorities, might not be 17 for you and.
What's the, I mean, back of the envelope, I mean. The Bluefish River pump.
Mhm.
Is close to, I mean, what about extending that way?
Yeah, well, we've actually talked about that internally. Does that make sense to pipe that into the plan?
Oh, right, yeah,
That's the one that failed, we're pumping.
yeah.
So that has its own leach field, and if we pipe that up to the sewer plant, we'd be using their leach field, which would cause it to not last quite as long as we would like to.
Who's leach field?
What's that?
Who's leach field?
The Bluefish River one?
If we pipe the Bluefish River up to,
Our plant,
yeah,
but we're talking about adding more for the plant anyway. It's-
right, but it has its own leach field at this time,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I mean,
yeah.
we might as well just
and we
utilize
have
the
to
field
pump
that
it.
we have. Instead of. Wearing on the high school leach field.
So, but I mean, I looked it up, but I was like, why don't we just tie this in, but we'd have to pump it again and. It's a capital project for no additional benefit. So,
Well, I mean, yeah, because, well, that leach field's under the, I call it the old church, it's the.
Old, now it's the art.
Okay, it's a
art
performing arts.
complex.
South Shore
Performing arts.
Conservatory, okay.
Yeah.
It's under the parking lot, right?
Yeah,
but the town doesn't own that, right?
No,
Well, the town doesn't own doesn't, because the Snug Harbor leaches into the yacht club golf course.
yes,
And we must have an easement in both these cases.
I would assume so.
I haven't researched that, but.
yeah, so if the leach field was to fail for bluefish, then you might consider piping it up to the
Yes.
sewer plant.
Yeah, because I can't imagine there's an alternate leaching field on that site.
on that,
No.
that area.
No,
Yeah,
Waterfront.
yeah,
But there's only 4 homes
yeah.
Oh, that is on Stuck Harbor.
on bluefish.
Oh, Bluefish.
Coffee.
There's only 4 houses connected to that.
how did the town take that on? I'm just curious historically.
I think, if I remember the
Yeah.
chain of events, so the historic commission used to own that house across from the cable house. The one that's on the inside of Bluefish River,
Yes,
Yeah,
the historic.
yes.
So I think
Oh,
it's when the historic commission owned that house.
oh, goodness gracious. Talk about politics.
Oh.
And so, but I mean, like, you know, the house across is
Yeah.
the cable house, that's historic.
Right,
People
Yeah.
now it is privately owned.
Well, both of them are, so the historic side sold the house.
So the only thing that's owned there is the
People have done work.
shed.
Yes,
Yeah, well,
Harbor master building is the house.
yes, across Bluefish.
right.
That was another one that was very costly for you when you first started here. That was
Yes.
ARPA money again. Yeah.
We spent about $150,000 to repair a break on that bluefish sewer.
Plus repaving.
Okay, so, my question was about priorities. On these items.
I list them by priority.
Yeah, what do you think?
I would keep them like that.
What?
I would keep them like that.
The way you've listed them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right, so you.
Yeah, the only addition is the sewer generator.
Generator,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Sheila, you look at a broader. Where would you, so we have all of the items, all of Mark's other items here, except the generators, so where would you put the generators?
That's what I was asking earlier.
Yeah, I was hoping to do that exercise today, but I got caught up in the field, so, cause I wanted to redo the whole spreadsheet and add that in.
You would say the fuel depot is more important?
Yeah. Yeah,
So it's somewhere 4 or less.
I think I would put it at 5. And then shift everything.
All right, water.
This is the fun one now. So water's independent because it's an enterprise fund, so that's not on my spreadsheet at all.
So water mains number one, requested 2 million because there hasn't been much investment over the past several years. I did 750,000 last year, which we used 138 of it for water main design on St. George Street. There's 2 water mains on St. George Street, newer PVC, and then an older cast iron. But they never switched the services over from the old cast iron to the new PVC main, and that's also a transmission main. So we did several of them in-house this past summer. But there's still a lot of work on St. George Street that needs to be done, some services that need to get switched over. And then at the very end, there's 10-inch cast iron going from Cedar Street intersection of St. George to the Washington Street Bridge. And we had a water main break on that cast iron the previous winter. And we'd like to get rid of all the cast iron in town. It has a history of failing earlier than the rest of the water mains, and it also tuberculates on the inside, which restricts the flow. And since that's a transmission main, we should have at least a 12-inch pipe going the full length of St. George to the tank, which is on Standish. There's also several other streets that we've had problems with. Depot surplus, some of them have 2 mains. We've had 4 water main breaks on Depot Street since I've been here. It's got a full 6-inch AC pipe.
You mean Partridge,
Oh, Partridge, I'm sorry.
the depot's on the list too.
Yeah. And that's also an old AC pipe. And then we've also identified a problem in Hall's Corner. So on the backside of Hall's Corner, they put in 16-inch ductile iron pipe going to the tank, which is the correct way to do it, but they stopped prior to crossing Hall's Corner. And there's a 12-inch cast iron pipe, which is not reliable, going through Hall's Corner, and then multiple old mains tied off of that. So we should have at least a minimum of 12-inch ductile iron going through Hall's Corner, providing 16-inch ductile iron, continuing with the same size pipe that goes to the tank, and picking up all the other feeds going through there. It's kind of like a restricting or a bottleneck point, and it's also old pipe. Captain's Hill tank is the only water feed for that, main water feed for that low zone. So you hate to have the main feed to it fail. Be a big problem, especially if it was in the summertime.
So basically, this $2 million doesn't even begin to address all of those projects
So it does-
mentioned.
We used to, way back when I did this, we used to have a system rehabilitation. Sounds like this is.
Yep, that's
something
what it is.
like this.
Yep.
We used to give
But $150,000.
$200,000 a year or something.
Yeah.
Seems a little larger.
Mhm.
I guess, and I know that obviously it's coordination with the roads and what you're digging up and when you're gonna replace them, and that used to all have to be tied together. It still has to be tied together.
Right.
Right? So,
Yeah, so there is a lot of water main work should be done every single year in any water distribution system. It's an ongoing process. The infrastructure is dynamic, it's not static, we have to keep up with it.
we have low water pressure issues in town where they need to be given additional
No,
different pipe size or anything. don't
no, we have
it.
pretty good pressure all throughout town.
Pretty good.
But the reliability of the mains, and so we should have numerous transmission mains going to the tanks. And so if we had to shut down a part of town, we wouldn't have good transmission mains now going through the tank.
So it's hydraulics, and just age of pipes.
Yeah.
Pipes age out, they need to be replaced.
Cast
So
iron,
it should
the
be,
old
yeah,
stuff.
it should be ongoing, but I mean, the town has spent a lot of money from what I've seen on water main replacements with all the PCE water main work that has been done over the years,
We have an item, yeah, we see.
so.
Yes.
So that, I agree with Mark having that as number one. Water main replacements are
Okay,
very important.
Yeah, down lower, I have lead service line inventory, it's $30,000, but that's just a compliance part. So this 2 million would also give us some work to do on that lead line removal. So we have 10 years to remove all the lead goosenecks on our water mains.
it's a gooseneck.
It's a flexible piece that goes from the water main that connects to the steel service line.
Okay,
That allows us to transition that bend. And we have about 1,400 of those lead goosenecks in town, so they're giving us 10 years
they're
to,
all lead?
just the gooseneck part.
Yeah.
Fortunately, most of the service line is steel. But we do have to remove all those lead goosenecks over a 10-year period,
Do they get replaced with what?
plastic.
So are those servicing,
Chemical.
are those servicing town buildings or those residential?
I'm sure it is.
Doesn't cover
Yeah. All plastic.
Yeah, this is just the compliance plan that needs to be
So this is the
submitted.
plan.
Yeah.
So this, yeah, this is, not fun for us, because that's,
A better one?
multiple, again, in terms of the roads, we're digging all these holes in the roads. I'm not happy about this, but we have to do it.
Yeah.
Let's just say,
Unfortunately, we don't have all lead lines, because
oh my gosh.
that number would be,
Cause isn't there one or two lead lines and the homeowners gonna do it right away?
Yeah, so we were so fortunate in this town.
Mhm.
I was really surprised that we didn't have,
yeah, some towns are spending $20-30 million removing lead lines.
so, and that's the thing, it's that, you know, another one of these unfunded mandates that have come down through the government, and it's all because of the Flint, Michigan issue.
Mhm.
And it's just like the PFAS, this is extremely expensive for cities and towns to deal with, it, and they want us to deal with it from the main right into the house. And I don't know how towns are gonna do it, because digging on private property is, not a good idea for liability.
Can homeowners opt to do it themselves?
Yeah, but why would you if you were a homeowner, if the town's gonna come in and do it?
I guess if somebody's gonna dig up my lawn, I'd rather have it done by a contractor. But-
Yeah, so I don't know how other towns are going to address this, but fortunately, we really don't have that problem here.
Right, but the DEP is making the towns replace the entire line
Need to do it,
and absorb the costs.
yeah.
Yeah, are the grant money available?
I don't think so.
I haven't seen, I'm sure there
Cause
is.
there is grant money, you just have to ask for it.
Yeah, I'm sure there is, but, it's just, yeah, this.
We
it's
would be low on the list, cause we're just doing the connection piece,
Mhm.
but,
Yeah.
so this is the study to inventory and identify.
We've done the inventorying, we actually did that in-house and we saved ourselves $50,000 last year, 'cause that was the quote to have a consultant do it. We had a long-term employee that knew every single service, so we sat him down before he retired and he went through every single one and did the inventory for us.
Oh, so we
So that was
know
so
the
valuable.
1,400,
Yeah,
so the 30,000 is to replace all 1,400?
no,
No.
that's the ongoing compliance with the DEP. Making a strategy,
You have to submit a written compliance plan,
To the study.
with
Okay.
timelines and. what
When did the
you
clock
need
start
to do.
ticking on the
Can't
10 years?
just do a PowerPoint.
3 years ago. for the compliance, which we had, not the compliance, but the identifying all the service lines.
2 years.
That was due this last October.
Yeah, so originally they were talking about the identification and the compliance being due in October, but the EPA pushed that, the compliance piece out, which was good.
So is it, does the 10 years start? Did that clock start 3 years ago?
No,
It doesn't
it's
start,
October,
okay, so October it starts.
24?
Yes.
yes,
All right, so this
So-
is a lead service line compliance plan?
Yeah.
Okay,
but we wanna get ahead of it and
that's the plan, then there'll be an annual expenditure probably.
Yep.
And are we in the ballpark of 30,000 a year, 100,000 a year, 1 million a year, or we don't know?
We only have to do 140 every year.
1,400.
We might identify some water mains that we can replace in entirety
Right,
along with. the-
yeah, if there, and I
So-
haven't looked at the list closely, if
So there's
they're
some
all
dovetailing with the water.
certain
main
roads,
replacement.
it would make sense to do a
Maybe.
water main on the road and deal with the whole thing at once.
Are some of these concentrated, like all on? Right.
That's the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, that's, yeah, so
Yeah.
in the Wadsworth development, right, all built the same time.
Right, it's,
Yeah.
yeah, cause it does have to do with the age of. the
So we
maintenance
jump
of
to
the
that,
house.
is that your priority number 2, water?
No,
No. We just jumped to it because it's related to the water main replacement.
oh, well, that's not your second.
We didn't talk about GIS,
No,
water main,
no.
mapping or any of that stuff.
yeah, so I listed that, the lead service line inventory is 4.
Okay, oh, then, so you haven't listed in your priority order?
Yes.
Okay.
Alright, so GIS mapping,
So we currently have 2 online platforms that we use, Utility Cloud and then DPW. And so all our data is kind of spread out over these 2, and they're not really storing it the way we want to. We also pay an annual fee for each one of these services. One is about $5,000 a year, and the other one is $3,000. So we'd like to have somebody put all our data on one server where everything's GIS, and that'll help us with all our
It
work.
needs to be, we actually have 3, because I use the town's GIS. So, that's a third layer, so, yeah, this is to consolidate. Right now, we don't wanna get rid of either program, because there's valuable information in both. Really valuable.
So is the $50,000 to have some programming done?
To have
Or
an
is this just
engineer,
the data does?
it's just combining 3 data.
It's migration from one of the platforms.
yeah. There's a little more than a data dump.
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
Get the classifications and criteria and other stuff.
Yeah, you wanna make sure you don't delete when you're combining it all, delete important information, so somebody needs to really focus on it.
This data lives on one of our servers.
No,
Or
in
is it
the
on the cloud?
Cloud.
That's a cloud base.
2 of them are in the cloud, and then the GIS, that's a database that we have in our server.
And the crew has iPads where they can access the information where they built the house or are doing a repair on the street.
So you're going to the cloud-based solution?
And which of the annual service fees are you gonna get rid of? Is it the 3,000 or the 5,000?
That's to be determined.
Okay.
It'll probably end up being the $3,000 one, because they'll find $5,000, that's more benefit, but yeah, we don't know for sure. Yeah.
Truck 6 is a 2017 Chevy Silverado with 160,000 miles. That's definitely due to get replaced. It's also a plow vehicle. It's used for old storms. It's getting up there in miles,
Yeah.
should be replaced.
So I mean, I thought my vehicle had high miles for the age of it, but this one exceptionally high miles.
It's the take-home option.
Yes, it's,
This truck,
Depends where they live.
this
Yeah.
truck came in every day for over 6 months when we lost half the staff. This one operator worked every single day for that 6-month period to keep the water system operating. So that's partially why there's so many miles on this truck.
7 days a week, yeah.
Yeah.
And vintage of it.
Oh, I guess we're
Plus-
really lucky we have that employee.
Very committed.
Plus,
Yes.
plus all the alarms that go along with it.
I don't know if I wanna put that in the minutes.
No,
Labor laws. Okay,
Truck 36 has less mileage, but it has a lot of rust coming through the floorboards now. It's gonna get to a point where very hard to fix all the rust. That's also a plow vehicle.
What was the year on that one?
I think that was a 2017 also. I believe.
2017,
I believe so, I'll have to check on that one.
it was. What's on ClickUp says 2017.
Does it? Okay.
What kind of truck is it?
Chevy 2500. So utility body.
So it's light truck 6.
Next one is the generators. We originally had ARPA funding for that. And then it just didn't materialize fast enough. So we have a engineer working on the design right now, that's paid through ARPA. I have 103,000 in a previous article from 2020 that was never spent. So I'm gonna utilize that funding. But it probably won't be enough to cover the generators that we want to install at Mayflower Well and Tremont Well. So we only have 2 wells in town now that have generator power. So we'd like to move that to 4, and then the 4 large producing wells would have backup power.
Yeah, so that's, like, this was another one of these issues that was revealed during that windstorm last December. Unfortunately, it happened during a time of year where we had low water demands. But it's surprising to me that we don't have more generators on our wells. I think that's, personally, I would have put that higher as a priority,
Most towns have generators at every well.
yes.
Right, but you do have a temporary generator that you can connect up. It's not like you wouldn't be able to put those wells in service. My only concern is if these are the priority wells for doing the PFAS treatment, are you sizing the generator for the
We talked to them
treatment?
about it.
Yes,
Yeah, so I mean, the temporary generator, for, well, are you referring to the sewer?
No,
trailer
for
generator?
the water plants. You
Yeah.
have temporary, you have generators at them, they're just not with the transfer switch.
we have a generator at Evergreen Well and Damon Well.
That are permanent installations,
Yeah.
right? That you have ability to put in a temporary generator, you have a transfer switch that you can plug in and you have,
Only at Mayflower,
yeah.
that's what the sewer drain.
So it's not like there's no provision yet, I just wanna make sure that investing in generators is a good idea, and I'm not against that, but we gotta consider, and that's part of some of the PFAS plan, it's not just the PFAS filtration, it's the master plan recommendations for that well also.
Right. Yeah, we could add that in as part of the.
Right,
Right.
So you're saying you think that is, you're concerned of double counting for the generators?
Potentially your size.
or you
Or
size it for that.
Inappropriate generator.
Right, so
But
we
it's
talked to them
included in
about
the
sizing
PFAS
it,
cost,
knowing
yeah.
that this is coming, but. From my perspective, I don't wanna wait, the sooner we can get these generators, the better. Cause that's the other thing, wells tend to get hit by lightning during storms. So
Yep.
power outages are very common at wells. So I see this as a vulnerability in the water distribution system.
Is the total cost 200,000 or 300,000?
It's hard to say, right now, engineer's working to get a bid first, it's an estimate.
But you put 200,000 in the budgeted cost, and you mentioned 100,000 from the previous article.
Yeah, so I would use that 103,000 from the previous article.
Plus, use that plus 200 is your estimate?
Yeah, I'm hoping it's still gonna cost quite 300,000 over,
Okay.
but we do have somebody designing it. And they're gonna,
I'm asking, I just wanna make sure that the 200,000 can't be reduced by the 100,000 you already have to be 100,000 requested, so 200,000.
yeah, they're very pricey. That would be an installation, everything.
Powered, gas
What
power,
was the original to do all the wells?
gasoline, natural
propane.
gas, propane.
Oh, it was over 1 million.
Was it?
Yeah, yeah,
I thought it was like 750.
but there was no plan.
Yeah.
It wasn't,
Yeah, so I personally would put that as number 2. If I was ranking these.
so, but these aren't, it's not like you have a full plan yet, there's no full estimate. There's no sizing of the generators with the PFAS.
No, we just signed a contract with the
Yeah.
engineer, NV5. They're gonna start working next week on sizing and specing out the design.
Yeah,
For the PFAS.
for the
No,
generators.
Generators.
To design
Just
the
the generators.
yeah. And when will that be done?
I think they were gonna be finished around April.
So by the time town meeting, we have a good idea what the cost is. So like the design process. Or cost estimate, not an actual bid cost, but.
Anything else on generators? Let's talk tea kettle, because I assume the PFAS is gonna be a longer conversation.
So tea kettle's on our well site. So we barely have enough water to make it through the summer. I'm watching the tanks constantly through the summer. We're turning the wells on at 11 o'clock at night sometimes to start refilling the tanks, because if we don't, and if it's at a low level in the morning when the sprinkler curve starts, we won't have enough water to make it through the day. So we need some redundancy. I had depot well in standby all last summer in case we need it. And tea kettle is another well site that we were looking at. We were hoping to get better water quality from this location. I think it was out in the woods, but it turned out it did have high PFAS also. So it's kind of a toss up if we're gonna continue with this sprinkler curve, whether we put the money towards the depot well or the tea kettle well. I'm almost thinking that maybe at this point, the depot well might be better because it's already a proven well site. So if we're gonna treat for PFAS at both of them,
Cause yeah, tea kettle would need PFAS treatment. It's a process to develop a new well. Plus you have to get the infrastructure in, the transmission mains. So, yeah, that was disappointing to find out there's PFAS at that site.
so they're both very costly. If we go with the depot well, we're gonna have to build treatment at the Tremont well site. So we would have to pipe the depot well down the street to our Tremont well at Hounds Ditch and treat both wells at that same location. So either roof's gonna be very expensive.
So the other option is to reduce irrigation in town, because irrigation is the big driver with the summer usage.
Every day we dump over 1 million gallons of water on the lawns.
It's just the town or the town resident,
The town through irrigation.
the town,
The
Yeah.
residents.
the residents, you're not, right. All the residents in this town,
That's not counting well water.
Yeah.
Right,
Right.
this is potable water that's treated. by
Treated and then
us.
put on the
so,
lawn.
Fluoride.
so people didn't listen to that water ban thing. I have this new thing on my phone, I can change it, like, oh, I gotta follow the water ban.
Yeah. So it's, yeah, I mean, summer usage always goes up, but you can clearly see the impact of the irrigation. We're not struggling in terms of supply this time of year. You have plenty of redundancy.
Yeah.
So,
So in the past, I've heard that the state restricting how much water we can pump out is kind of an artificial thing. Because we have plenty of water,
yeah,
but we
still
also have a problem
permit.
accessing that water through our current well system
So no,
at peak times.
So we do have plenty of water in the ground, but we don't
Right.
have the infrastructure to pull it out.
Kind of what I was trying to say to you, Sid.
but we are over the permitted withdrawal in terms of residential per capita. So that is a compliance problem.
Do we get a lot of pushback on that?
Yeah, so what are the repercussions for that?
Well, we haven't found out yet, but it's only a matter of time before the DEP comes down on us.
They kick us out of the
Pass that
MBTA. Kill two birds with one stone on that one.
Magnifying glass out.
So each year, there's more and more things you have to do, a residential compliant per capita compliance plan. One of the things we're looking at, which will help with DEP, is to adopt an irrigation policy through the water commissioners, where there would be no new irrigation systems tied in to the town water system. So that would be a proactive mechanism. Another thing we could look into, we're doing a rate study, but we don't bill quarterly, so we're not ready for it, would be seasonal rates. So that those who choose to irrigate would be pay a premium for that extra water. The rates will go up, I'm sure, as part of the rate study, so that may happen anyway, but you can actually plan your rates just to address irrigation. You do it strategically,
And the new rates are probably gonna help curb the irrigation use also.
potentially that.
Yeah, I have an irrigation system. I use half of the amount that I'm allowed to use, because I don't do it in the morning, I only do it the one other time in the evening. But that said, what does it cost to put a well in irrigation? Any idea roughly?
Yeah, I'm hearing it's anywhere from 10 to 14,000.
So it wouldn't be burdensome really, but new hookups to be said, I get a little, do a
A
well.
lot of towns, I live in Kingston, they've had that on the books. For, I wanna say almost 25 years.
You certainly don't need scrubbed water with fluoride.
Right.
Yeah, so well, that's the thing, from our perspective as water suppliers, we are. Going through all this effort to make the water potable, and we're adding fluoride for teeth. And it's going on to people's lawns.
We getting under weeds.
So, yeah, I mean, it is wasteful, so, I mean, if you look at the water cycle. Pulling from a well on your property and putting it right back in the ground
Is
makes
good
more
thing, too.
sense.
Yeah.
So it's. It, as water suppliers, it can be frustrating seeing sprinkler water running down the road.
Is there a current restriction to having your own well put in?
Well, there are restrictions, in terms of what setbacks, in terms
Oh,
of.
in terms of position,
Yeah.
I'm worried about them saying, you know, the water table is ubiquitous underneath the town.
No,
The more
not that I'm
folks you
aware of,
put
no.
into it,
Yeah,
no?
No,
we're restricted,
You just-
what we can pull out, but not. Yeah, even though it's all coming from the same.
If I put in a big well, can I sell you some water?
yeah, you test it too.
Yeah,
Okay.
Last one,
PFAS.
so,
$73 million, huh?
yeah, so we still haven't picked our priority site first. Two of them are up in this range of 35 to 38 million dollars.
This is,
Like fun.
This is the cost per
Like, it's
well?
like-
Yeah, but some of them, so if we were to do Depot and Tremont, they would be combined treatment.
okay,
For
So you'd wanna do them both at the same time, and that's where you get this $38 million.
that's for two town wells,
well, it's actually
or
three.
two complexes of wells.
Right, one treatment location. So some of the wells are cheaper if they're treated individually. But on the ones that it's more feasible to combine, then it costs more.
And this is not a state mandate, this is the residents are demanding this.
We don't know yet, because the EPA has put out,
Well, that's right, that's changing again, right?
Right.
EPA has a contaminant level, and then the DEP is gonna, which is the state,
Maybe tighten that up.
is, yeah, they haven't come out with their ruling yet.
We don't know, because DEP had already come out with the ruling, prior to the EPA, and the EPA came out with a more stringent. Level, so currently our two wells that are over the EPA thresholds are off.
So it's about $19 million a well, and that's just for the one-time only costs. What is the maintenance and operation?
I'm hearing estimates of maybe $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
Per well,
Per well.
per well.
Filters, media.
Depending on
Replacement.
How much you use it.
This also increased staff.
How can towns afford,
This is another,
how can towns afford this?
this is another point where if you cut back on the irrigation or eliminated it, there would be a substantial cost savings, because you're not putting PFAS-free water, 1 million gallons a day of PFAS-free water onto the grass.
So understand too, there's issues with iron and manganese and a whole water master plan that needs to be executed. It's not the 38 million, but it's 4 to 5 million. So when we talk about doing those wells, it includes. If you don't do anything with PFAS, you still have these other $5 million projects for each of the wells, which did include the generator replacements. So there's work that has to be done on each of the wells that hasn't been. So the master plan probably is for.
Yeah, any of the wells that need upgrades, you'd wanna do it while you're doing the whole construction. So some of them might need generators, some of them might need electrical upgrades, building repairs, new roofs.
So, I don't know how to ask this question. PFAS, I think is a relatively new-ish issue. How well developed are these mitigation
The technology?
technologies? Yeah.
It's a good question.
It is removing the PFAS level down to 0 with 2 treatment vessels installed.
But I mean,
There's plants that are in service, like Easton
yeah,
had issues. So PFAS has been around for a while, but the limits was 20.
yeah,
So there was some towns that had to. They couldn't just shut down one of their well and
Yeah.
continue to provide water,
yeah.
so.
We have family members who are throwing out their no stick pans because apparently that's a PFAS.
Yeah, so is your microwave popcorn bag, so
Right.
your Gore-Tex jacket, so
Yeah.
the amount that's in the drinking
can't-
water
I can't
is
so-
so minuscule, you're getting it from all different sources. But, yeah,
Turf
in
fields.
terms of treatment
Yeah, the turf
technology,
fields.
it is new.
Yeah.
It is new, all the engineers, they're learning as they go.
I just know, like, so I deal in waste, and we are very much developing the technology to treat the leachate coming off our landfills.
Mhm.
And it's the same, I assume it's the same
Yeah,
type of thing, and
you might have other metals too, but
yeah, but it's, I mean, it's like, we're still trying to figure it out.
Right,
Let's get Elon Musk on the case.
so.
He's gonna be busy, I understand.
Yeah.
And the greatest thing is the companies that have infected everything with PFAS or infected some are the ones
No, they're selling the
providing
media,
the media,
Oh, yeah.
they're making
Yeah.
money once again off us.
so.
well,
Yeah.
it's, so a lot has to do with. Where the PFAS, like the 3M product that they use for fighting fires.
Yeah.
So, and there was a lot of, when the landfill, there was a lot of fires and they would use this wet.
Yeah.
Wet water or whatever they call it, it's
Yeah.
this chemical that had really high levels of PFAS. The firefighters did all testing with it or training, so you have that concentration that's all. Polluting our water supply and so treating the. They're capping the nuclear dump and treating that,
So, so they're,
well,
but there, does it have a liner? Did we ever figure out if that McNeil dump had a liner?
I don't
No, there's no line,
think so, but.
that's.
So they're
So-
just capping it to like, for the leachate that's going
Yeah,
in
yes.
to try to.
Yeah,
Right, so the class action lawsuit, you're talking $250,000 and $300,000 potential settlement, so it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Like,
Peanuts.
it's not even gonna cover the
The
engineering to
fine.
figure out how to. Alright.
yeah, I mean, we only qualify for the wells that are over with that lawsuit. And that's Depot and Partridge right now. Also.
So there will be an update to the select board on December 9th there's the prioritization. Will be done in a couple of weeks and there's a review and comment before then. So lots to do to pull together what's the best recommendation.
I keep trying to figure out the economic feasibility of this. I think you'd have to have an irrigation ban. Period. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense to be putting $73 million one-time cost in what, 7 wells? Or at least 4 that we're gonna treat in the course of time. Another $500,000 a year. Let's say we're talking about 10 years of cost for the overall operation. That's gonna be the $73 million plus whatever the operational costs are. Over 10 years, so let's say it's $7 million per year over that time. $7 million, 5,000 households in town, maybe 6,000, but just for our argument's
Yeah,
sake.
we're only 70% on the town water.
Say again,
I think it's only like 70% on town water,
5,600 connections,
how many connections?
5,600.
56.
Yeah, well, 5,000.
Yeah.
Easier to divide it into 7 million. So that comes up $7,000 per house per year for 10 years. Yes. And right now, I don't think my water bill is more than $500 for 2 houses.
Same.
And I don't know how much water it costs if you get it from Poland Springs or have a Brita filter or whatever. The cost effectiveness doesn't seem to be very good.
And it still want to eliminate your exposure to PFAS.
No.
Because the environment poses more exposure than the water does.
I thought you weren't into politics.
That's not fault.
This will be a warrant article.
In my head.
Yeah.
And the other frightening thing about it is that I think the studies that they've done so far have shown that when you stop one well, the water migrates to the other wells because it's sucking the water out of the same place.
Right, that's, so Weston and Sampson is doing all the groundwater modeling. So they can predict if you shut these wells down and are drawing more capacity from these others, what will happen? So that's part of that
Good.
prioritization of that.
And isn't there a compliance sort of timeline associated with this? I thought it was like 3 or 5 years.
It's April 2029.
29. Technically, we are in compliance right now.
Well, that's something.
Right.
We
Do we
are
have
in
a-
That's
compliance.
Well,
back to this
Well,
positive.
unless they change the limits, we probably stay in compliance.
We are in compliance.
So that's where the mass regulation, so right now. There's one well, but there's readings. 4 parts per trillion is the limit. We have a well that's like 4.2, 4.9, 4.1, and 3.9. The 3.9 is considered a 0 under the federal regulations. So that goes to 0, so you add those up and we're in compliance. But the other 3 readings are above the limit and 1 isn't, so that's where the mass DEP regulations would. Like it's not that under 4 is undetectable or not laboratory significant accuracy. So I think us saying that we're in compliance now is because considering 3.9 is 0.
Yeah, but that's how EPA has
Yeah, but that's
structured
how
it.
they're evaluating.
So I mean, EPA must
It's not
have done the
issued yet.
research to come up with, okay, if it's below 4, we essentially consider it 0, because that's the number they're telling us to use. So yeah, we don't know what Mass DEP is going to do. They came out with 20. And then EPA came out with 4. I think if Mass DEP did go below 4, The water lobby in Massachusetts, Mass Water Works Association, which pretty much all water suppliers in Massachusetts are members of, would be very vocal against that.
Right,
Because that is, again, look at the costs of what this is.
right.
When you're talking a parts per trillion, it's so minuscule. So,
Great, but just be careful if we say that 3.93 could be 4.1. And then all of a sudden, we have a well that has to be taken out because that range now is consistently over 4, where it's so borderline now, 3.93 is not good.
but that zero number, is a game changer in the averaging. And it's a
Oh, right.
running annual average, and if you have below 4, even if it's a 3.9, that's a 0. The way you do that running average.
Right, but if you come
So-
across next year and all of those are over 4, you have to still be in compliance by 2029. It's borderline to say all is well.
Is it a 12-month running average?
Yes, there's four samples.
4 samples,
Mhm.
taken quarterly, I assume.
Yeah,
Mhm. But those are the exact numbers for. I think it was Lake Shore that isn't really great.
Well,
And
that's where
that
I
was-
grew up, I'm in trouble.
That's done on a per well kind of basis, even though the substance that they're working with is very fluid across all the wells.
yes.
Yeah, that's the other thing, it gets further diluted. In the distribution
Do
system.
we have working knowledge about what it is that PFAS causes in the way of cancer and other things? I don't. I know that the documents say it's been shown to have been related to. And I've actually had some experience with this in working with the School of Public Health and trying to look at places where there was high intensity of cancers, and a lot of them were scattered across the Cape. So it may be just, I like more definitive.
What was
Was
the
Cape on that?
Sandwich, or what was the town that they had to, like a huge, a high level of PFAS throughout the town?
Was it-
Yeah, maybe,
But again, the towns that have been treating have high levels, we have low levels in Duxbury, aside from Partridge. Partridge has some high levels, but that's pretty much off the table.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't.
Partridge is closed and has been for a number of
Yeah,
years.
as has Depot, because Depot's over the limit too. So, but yeah, so we're looking at right on the cusp here. But it's true, we don't know what the next set of samples will show. But if you get one under 4, that's very beneficial right now to the way EPA has us doing its averages.
We know how Mary's thinking of this issue.
I don't, I have to imagine it's gonna be its own,
Bonded,
yeah,
warrant article
Yeah.
separate.
yeah.
Like, that's. such a-
Borrow the money and pay for it out of the water.
Do
That's
we
right.
want to borrow this? Don't we have to do-
38.
Can't forget about that. Oh, it's the bridge, yeah. School, the bridge.
Yeah, oh, I know.
MassDOT,
Alright,
just MassDOT's
Yeah,
right now.
yeah, until we walk on the bridge. All right, anything else?
You guys have done a really good job. so
Yeah,
Yeah,
Thank you very much. I know this has been too, well, for Sheila, it's been 2 long nights, so Shane, thank you,
It's our
Sheila.
job,
Yeah.
so we're happy to be here. Sorry we present so many items.
No, it's not, it's good, like, you know, it's.
You're not the only one.
You did a great job, but it's, it's nice having another viewpoint on. Yeah, well, both Peters did a good job. So it's nice having another set of eyes and another set of expertise. I certainly appreciate it.
So if you have any follow-up questions, just let us know.
Can you send us these in electronic format
Yes,
and give you two, this?
Yeah, I sent it to Candace, but I can add in marks and then we can prioritize.
Yeah, there's a touch of the meeting.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, are you gonna update this for the generators?
Yeah, so I'll update it so you have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
All right,
thank you.
thank you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We have meeting minutes from the last meeting of October 30th to approve.
Well, we're just gonna, if anybody has comments first.
I noted at the bottom that the next meeting was November 7th. It's really today's the 6th, so I made that correction. So go ahead.
I make a motion to approve the meetings as presented from last week, which was October 30th.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Motion carries 7-0-0. Anything else?
And our next meeting, next week I'm here. And that's, I know, it's
Where are you going?
Egypt and.
Oh my gosh.
And the school is on,
So next week, I actually have a conflict. Uh-oh, so someone's gonna have to take notes.
so the school, I sent out the email, so that can be used as the primary basis in the meeting notes, so you
That's
can,
schools next week, you saying?
I think so.
Yeah, Josh, today's the 6th, yeah, 13th is. Treasure collector, conservation, planning, schools. Which is IT and facilities and facilities,
Wait a minute, treasure, conservation,
planning. Schools. And facilities,
What, wow, that's a big agenda
yeah,
for schools and facilities,
yeah, I think most of the facilities,
as they're related,
I think, and.
they're a little related, yeah.
We haven't got a master sheet yet, from Aaron.
yeah, I downloaded the list from ClearGov, so I sent that out
Oh,
last
you
week.
did, okay.
If you didn't get it,
No, I'm sure you did,
okay,
sure you did.
We just don't have any funding sources yet.
Okay.
So Mary's working on, we know, we have a listing of all the projects, just not a. Idea yet of funding.
Yeah, so I just confirming, I do have a conflict, so I will hear. So,
I'm happy to take notes.
okay, so just wanna double check on it more.
Yeah. Adam, Karen, you guys anticipate being here next Wednesday?
Yeah, I should be here next Wednesday.
Karen still there?
Hello, Karen. Unmute, sir.
Maybe talking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or, okay,
So there's
Yeah.
5 for sure.
yeah,
Oh, when is,
Lynn and Andrew, maybe?
yeah, I'll check with Andrew, I know he's traveling. Now, he's down in Texas,
It's not quorum these days.
5,
so you would have 5 for sure?
Yeah.
1,
Yeah.
2, 3,
Or-
oh, 4.
or. Yeah, and I think, well, Lane just needs to get sworn in.
Okay.
So I got a copy of his. Letter. So he's got that. Sworn in, he's got the meeting. But I sent it in the meeting schedule stuff. One note about not the next meeting, but the meeting on the 20th, we added house on aging. for some reason it got. Is on our
Oh,
schedule, so Joanne's coming in on the 20th.
I won't be there for that.
That special town meeting is the 18th.
18th, yeah.
Are you doing a riverboat in the Nile or?
Yeah. Yeah, so Cairo, then Luxor, Riverboat, then back to Cairo, then Amman, Jordan, then down to Body Round, then Petra. So. And then float in the Dead Sea before we leave. If it happens, I don't know.
Where the magnesium-
Trip comes off because it's.
I know, like we're going with another couple.
How will it blow up and.
Yeah, we planned this in 2022 and last year was canceled. So it's been, can I start to get excited?
Motion to adjourn,
Motion to adjourn.
A second.
all right, all's in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks, guys.